My, how time flies while them white folks tell them lies. And I'm going to let somebody talk to you about that. But before I do, one of my mentors, one of my really good mentors, told me when I got my education, I thought that I had accomplished something. He said, you got your European education. Now, what about your African education? I'd like to ask you the same question. We know more about Europeans than we know about ourselves. I wonder how that happens like that.
Child family, the family said to be the wealthiest in the world.
Well, who put Mandela in power? It was the Jew banker Rothschild of England, and it was also your Senate and Congress in Washington, D.C.
Rothschild and his ancestors have handpicked presidents, crashed stock markets, bankrupted nations, orchestrated wars, and sponsored the mass murder and impoverishment of millions.
The Rothschilds increased their wealth by financing Cecil Rhodes in his quest to monopolize the diamond and gold mines of South Africa.
Rothschilds soon grew unbelievably wealthy. By the mid-1800s, they dominated all European banking and were certainly the wealthiest family in the world. They financed Cecil Rhodes, making it possible for him to establish a monopoly over the diamond and gold fields of South Africa.
Anyone who believes that this is a democratic country really has no idea of what is going on. This is not a coup. This is simply about freeing ourselves from the slavery of the Rothschilds and the rest of the cabal. South Africa does not have a government. It is run by an organized crime syndicate called the Stellenbosch Mafia. They control all of the banks, and they have two branches, the ANC NEC and the South African Reserve Bank, which has no locus standi. That conglomerate is managed by Johan Rupert, Cyril Ramaphosa, and the Rothschilds.
Navy tried to bury the story. In 1944, the U.S. Navy had over 100,000 black sailors, but not one black officer. Not one. Here's the part that should make you furious. The Navy didn't want to promote them, so they picked just 16 men, locked them into secret officer training, and designed the test to make them fail. Only 13 passed. And they didn't just pass. They outscored nearly every white officer candidate in the Navy's history. They became the first black commissioned officers in U.S. Navy history. But the Navy refused to announce it publicly. Their success was labeled classified. Their promotions were delayed. They were denied command, isolated on ships, ignored in the press. The Golden 13 proved the system wrong, and the system punished them for it. This wasn't progress. It was containment. They weren't celebrated. They were silenced. Their names should be in textbooks, their faces on monuments. Instead, you're hearing about them here, maybe for the first time. This is not a side story. This is black military history. This is hidden history. They don't teach this. Follow Iron Archive for the truth they tried to bury.
The statistics are stunning. Black infants are more than twice as likely to die than white infants, a racial disparity that's wider today than in 1850.
What if black life in America is under attack before it even begins? Not by mistake, not by coincidence, but by design, through silent policies, neglected hospitals, and calculated indifference. For generations, black families have whispered a painful truth, that something deeper, more organized, is working to erase their future before it takes its first breath. The evidence is now impossible to ignore. Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die during childbirth. Black infants die at twice the rate of white ones. Clinics once sterilized young black girls without consent. Activists were assassinated in their sleep beside their pregnant partners. Meanwhile, government agencies, from the FBI to public health departments, stood not as protectors, but as quiet participants in a system built to contain black birth. This isn't just history, it's policy, it's the present, and it's ongoing. And in today's video, we are about to get into the chilling details of how black lives are being erased before birth. Let's get started. Something is wrong. Deeply, historically, institutionally wrong. Across the United States, a sinister pattern is beginning to surface, one that's impossible to attribute to chance or coincidence. Black women are dying during childbirth at rates more alarming than in many developing nations. Black infants are being lost in numbers that remain constant despite decades of medical advancement. Young black girls, some in public schools, have been robbed of their ability to reproduce before they even understood what reproduction was. And in government documents once buried and sealed, we now find language, cold, strategic, and deliberate, that casts the black womb not as sacred, but as something to be managed, controlled, or stopped. It would be easy to call these outcomes tragic, but that would be dishonest. What's unfolding is not a series of tragic events. It is an architecture of death. Too organized to be incidental, too consistent to be natural. From the hospital to the prison, from the welfare office to the medical clinic, black life is under siege long before it takes its first breath. The destruction of black babies is not an idea pulled from paranoia. It is a reality grounded in statistics, court records, and documented federal strategies. And it's happening right now. The breaking news is not a single event. It's in the realization that the entire timeline of black life, from conception to early childhood, has been surrounded by systems built to suffocate it. When we speak of police shootings, prison sentences, and poverty, we are speaking of outcomes. But what about origins? What about the systems that ensure some black children never make it to birth? That some black mothers never survive delivery? That entire generation of black children is planned